What's happening, legend? BJ here, coming at you for another video. Today's video, what we're going to talk about is 5 muscle building foods. Now, I just want to start off by saying that your body does not want to put on muscle, okay? It's like, why do I need to put on muscle? Like, what benefit do I have? And honestly, your body is there primarily for survival purposes. It doesn't care about putting on skeletal muscle mass. It doesn't care about anything like that. And often the biggest mistake that people make is not getting adequate protein, not getting adequate calories to then keep the muscle mass, so then they can have the fast metabolism and burn fat naturally just from rest, okay? So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna list 5 foods that are muscle building foods. And they're the best, they're the cheapest, the most affordable and accessible if you're from Australia, USA or UK, or even parts of Africa. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. First cab off the rank is eggs. Now, we all know from the golden era with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he would have like 15 to 20 eggs a day, and he'd crack them on his biceps, and he would obviously be very theatrical about eggs. And obviously, like Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, he would guzzle the raw eggs down like it was no one's business. Okay, so why eggs? Well, per egg, it's about 6 to 8 grams of protein. Now, it's not just the protein itself, but it's also this thing called bioavailability. Now, just because you eat quality protein doesn't mean that it's high on bioavailability, which means the amino acids are readily used quickly. So eggs bioavailability is honestly at the top. If we look at this chart now, you can see that eggs absolutely destroy every other food. And there's a reason for that, is because the yolk and the egg white contain massive amounts of micronutrients that is gonna help, things like leucine, for example, which is an amino acid building block for muscle protein synthesis. Now, food number 2 is brown rice. Now, often people get caught up with the debate between brown rice and white rice, which one's better, if one is low GI versus high GI. And honestly, guys, it really just comes down to knowing that brown rice most of the time is whole grain, okay? So it has a slow releasing effect on the body, which means you're gonna have sustained release of energy over a period of time, which is then gonna help you sustain your efforts in the gym, sustain your efforts whilst you're doing your cardio, which is then gonna make you more likely to not burn out with energy and less likely to binge, therefore to balance your weight and feel better, okay? So why not white rice? Well, because white rice is a simple carbohydrate, okay? So basically, a simple carbohydrate is what you have post-workout, because often when you are injured fatigued, you have those micro traumas to your muscle. You want to heal that immediately, because your muscle sensitivity to simple carbohydrates and having it absorbed quickly is a lot higher, okay? So things like white rice, like gummy bears, believe it or not, the dextrose in gummy bears are up there. Believe the hype. Okay, now this brings me to number 3, and that is salmon. Now, salmon is high in omega-3 and low in omega-6. It also is a really good amount of fatty acids, so your free fatty acids and stuff like that. So it doesn't have any trans fats or anything like that. It's really good for balancing out your cholesterol. It has a high amount of protein in it. You can get obviously just Atlantic salmon, or you can get other types of salmon, but just know that salmon has a great fat profile to help with your testosterone elevation, okay? And it goes really well in many different dishes. And honestly, it's probably one of my most favorite choices of fish out there. Just beware, obviously, with mercury poisoning and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Seaspiracy. or you have a complete phobia of fish, but just know that it does have great muscle building properties. Now, food number 4 is oats. Now, obviously you can get many different types of oats. You can get obviously the steel cut oats. You can get like basically just rolled oats. You can get like, there's so many different types, right? Basically, oats are an amazing form of whole grain. Whole grain, remember, similar to the brown rice, is very slow releasing, slow acting. So when you have it, you're gonna feel fuller for longer because obviously the fiber that's attached to it, but also the whole grain, you know, what they call a polysaccharide, basically the complex carbohydrate is going to make you feel better. It's going to elevate your dopamine. It's gonna make you just like perform better, sleep better, and it's gonna be very generous around your waistline. So it's honestly one of my staples. You know, you mix some protein powder or yogurt or whatever in with the oats, and you can play around with it, okay? So it's a great staple for anyone who is serious about their muscle growth. Now, last but not least, nuts, okay? I am nuts about nuts when I'm bulking, just primarily due to the nature of the high amount of fats that you get, but the healthy fats, and they also help with satiety. So basically, like making you not like snack or you know, go off the rails with your diet. Because if you have nuts, obviously they have quite a lot of calories in them. And as hard gainers out there will know that it's basically almost impossible to put on weight. And so having things like, you know, pecans, walnuts, almonds, and just snacking on them throughout the day can be the difference between being in a surplus and not being in a surplus. So if you're in a muscle building surplus, that is then going to help you maintain that, you know, lean bulk, which is then going to make you feel overall better about your results, because you're going to be tipping the scale towards where you want to go. But also just be very mindful, you can easily overdo nuts because they're very palatable. You can just keep going, right? And so you want to be aware that you have to limit or track or weigh at the scale the nuts to know that you're not going overboard with it, because that can be a double-edged sword, right? Cool, guys. So if you guys like this video and you want to see more like this, show your appreciation by clicking that heart button, subscribing, clicking the bell notification, and I will make more videos like this. So guys, that's it from me today. So be a better version of yourselves, and peace out.